This is a program to help educate you on some of the issues that are vital to your understanding and way of life, and what can be done to improve it. Only when we get other views can we make intelligent choices regarding the decisions and options available to us for the enrichment and improvement of our lives. Good evening, Truman Sigler for Personalities in the News, live from smoky Fresno, California. This show is dedicated to the memory of John Castle, who started Personalities in the News in 1964 through 2003. The format of this program is educational in nature and based on the constitutions of the United States of America and the California Republic. This station and program wish Godspeed return to full recovery from this illness to the President and First Lady of the United States of America. The program today is talking points on current events in the news of the last few months. That is, that's what I had planned. But we had some things come up that are more important, and we have a special guest going to call in, which I did not have scheduled. So we'll get to that in a little while. As these are current events and still in progress, and the full story is still not out, and may take more time to research the actual facts. Our talking points were going to be on the Constitution of this republic, and are we a republic or a democracy, money of account, and the so-called pandemic, and peaceful assembly and petition for redress versus protests and rioting your questions and comments if we have time. This will be moderated by our co-hosts, Joanne Caesar and Steve Hempling, director of the Free Enterprise Society, and myself. Welcome to here. You came here from there because you didn't like there. And now you want to change here to be like there. We are not racist, phobic, or anti-whatever you are. We simply like it here the way it is. And most of us actually came here because it's not like there, wherever there was. You are welcome here, but please stop trying to make here like there. If you want here to be like there, you should not have left there to come here. And you are invited to leave here and go back there at your earliest convenience. Also, continuing with my opening here, alleged claims of police misconduct using constructive notice to inform them of their legal obligations to the oath of office. The events that have happened in these past few weeks are of grave importance to all of us. We must use the constructive notice program now if this great country is to survive. The law enforcement police arresting people for exercising their rights. The hijacking of protesting people by criminal factions that looted, burned, and attacked innocent people's businesses after the marches was and is a war against the foundation and principles of this country, and must be dealt with as an invasion. It is being condoned by the same political parties by inflicting unconstitutional orders, mandates of governors, mayors, and others. Destroys the trust and respect and fear of any interaction with officials and the police. The so-called pandemic coronavirus and the reaction of the servants in government and to the edicts and reactionary controls they placed on the people. We, the people, have the power and the means to effect a change and force you servants, which we elected to manage this republic, and you took an oath to do so. And we are not asking, we are demanding that you servants honor your oath and follow the constitutions. We, the people, have only the rights that we are willing to stand up for. Otherwise, we are only slaves. I'm going to read you a link here. It's called GavinRecall2020.com. Please participate in that. Go online to GavinRecall2020.com. Okay. Steve, you want to, because we got time before we get to our first break, when our special guest is going to call in, you want to continue on with your brief comments on the Constitution?
Well, sure. Let's the Constitution is the formula, if you will, that made this country great. And the problem today that I see is the schools aren't teaching this. They haven't been teaching it for decades. The young people in particular think this is probably the worst document in the history of the world. And why do they say that? Is because someone told them that. And I think it's mostly teachers. Not all teachers are bad, but many of them are what they call liberal, and they have never actually worked a day outside of the government. And they have a funny way of thinking about things, because it's almost like an us versus them mentality. But in the Constitution, we have rights. And Stuan's going to go over some of those in regards to this crazy and illegal pandemic actions that have been taking place. But in the Constitution itself, we have rights, inalienable rights, rights that we were born with, according to the founders, rights that no one can take away. And even in the Constitution itself, it doesn't allow the government under any circumstances to take your rights away. There is one place in here which is talks about the privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. That's it. If we were in a rebellion or invasion, they could take away and they can only take away your writ of habeas corpus. That is being jailed without charges and getting out, complaining about that.
Yeah,
but other than that, I can find nothing that allows them to suspend the Constitution because of some disease or any other declared emergency or crisis.
Steve, can I interject something here? That
Certainly.
just came down the wire yesterday. I got it on the internet yesterday afternoon, and it's called Hope from Michigan. Do you have that in front of you?
I may have that.
All right, I can read it if you want while you're looking for yours. So, Ann, do you want to read it? Okay, I've got it. That's the syllabus. That's the one from
right.
Do you want to read that one instead? This comes from the Michigan decision called Hope from Michigan. And the Michigan Supreme Court has just struck down their emergency powers of the Governor Act as unconstitutional, adopting the very arguments that we here in California are going against our esteemed Governor Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to read on that syllabus to clarify it a little bit for the people?
Okay, well, going through the syllabus, you're going through a lot of additional information, but the point is that you stated that the emergency powers, all of them, that's congregating with people, that's a violation of the First Amendment. That is an unconstitutional requirement, but it's not a law. The executive orders only apply to government officials. They do not apply to the people. That's what an executive order is. They have not gone through legislature and made it any type of a law. And then when they do that, they have to be very specific as to whether it includes the individual person on the street, or whether it's having to do with someone who's engaged in an activity to which the legislature can rule, which means they can prohibit and regulate. But they can regulate the people. So like my forte is traffic. So if you're going down the street and there's a stop sign or a stop light, do you have to stop for it? Absolutely. But they can only stop you if you have an accident. So if you go through those either stop sign or a light, then as long as you don't hit anybody, you don't do anything that physically harms another person or their property, they cannot stop you. And it's in the California Vehicle Code, and it's 21100B. And if you read the rest of it, it's very interesting because none of it ever says that it belongs to the people who have done some sort of a violation of a regulation that they did not harm someone. So everything for the people is if you harm someone. So when you go through this syllabus, they go through each and every element of the Emergency Act that, and I don't remember what her name was.
The governor of Michigan?
Yeah, the governor of Michigan.
Steve has it on the tip of his tongue, I'll bet you.
Governor Whitmore.
Oh, Whitmore, yes,
Whitmer.
I see her. Okay, so she did an executive order, which of course is not law, and she said that everybody was mandated to not congregate, wear a mask, 6 foot of distance between you and others, etc., etc. And they said every one of them was unconstitutional. So if it's unconstitutional,
Everyone.
huh? Yeah, it
Everyone, yes.
it applies to everyone. If it's unconstitutional, it is no law, and you do not have to follow that particular law. And last week I went to Smart and Final, and they threw me out. And they're not going to be happy when they get my paperwork, because they are not going to be happy with what I'm going to tell them. So, it's time.
We are getting a signal for our first break, so ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. And we are going to be back with a lot of what they call on the radio and other TVs, bombshells, because it's all happened the last 2 days. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
The president nominates, and then the Senate advises and consents or not, but they go forward with the process.
What we're seeing here, and I hope this is temporary, is a disrespect for the Constitution.
The Constitution is 100% clear. The President of the United States has the right to nominate someone to be a justice of the Supreme Court. Senate's function is to hold hearings and to vote.
The blockade on filling a naturally occurring vacancy, in my view, is harmful to the independence of the Article III branch.
You cannot keep a seat on the Supreme Court, which represents all of us. You cannot keep it vacant against the Constitution.
Do pretty much everything they can to avoid acknowledging the legitimacy of our democratically elected president.
The American people expect the president's nominee to be given a fair hearing and a timely vote in the Senate.
Every day that goes by without a ninth justice is another day the American people's business is not getting done.
I say to you, do your job. Vote for a Supreme Court nominee.
Instead of just saying the blanket rule is no matter who you are, no matter what your qualifications, because you are sent by this president, we will create a unique rule for you and refuse to entertain you.
One of the most important consequences of who is president of the United States is who sits on the United States Supreme Court.
If you want to stop extremism in your party, you can start by showing the American people that you respect the President of the United States and the Constitution.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
Ready to harvest a crop.
The American people deserve a fully staffed court of 9.
For field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California's farm labor contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious. You can shut.
Welcome back to Talk Radio, KXEX 1550. And the number is 559-691-5700. That is a new number for call-in. And we ask that you call in after the next break. And that will be opened up for call-in questions after 5:30. Now, we are back with our host. We had another change. Our guest got tied up and called in and said he's not going to make it. Matter of fact, our guest was supposed to be Gary Bredefield from the city, District 6, and he promised that he will be on for 2 segments next week, so look forward to that. We will have a good conversation with him. Sue Ann, would you like to carry on with some things that you would like to talk about?
Yes. Okay. So the syllabus, a syllabus is a write-up of the decision of the court. They have not completed the decision of the court, so they send out a syllabus. And it says, Justice Markman, joined by Justice Sarah Ann Clement, concluded that the governor lacked the authority to declare a state of emergency or a state of disaster under the EMA after April 30th, 2020, on the basis of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that the EPGA violated the Michigan Constitution because it delegated to the executive branch the legislative powers of state government. Oh, let's see. Legislative or the governor? Who determines the law? Not the governor. And allowed the executive branch to exercise those powers indefinitely. First, under the EMA, and I don't know what EMA actually stands for. They put it somewhere.
It's
Emergency Management Act.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Okay. The governor only possessed the authority or obligation to declare a state of emergency or state of disaster once, and then had to terminate that declaration when the legislature did not authorize an extension. So the legislature have to do an extension. The governor possessed no authority to redeclare a state of emergency or state of disaster, and thereby avoid the legislative limitation on her authority. Second, regarding the statutory language of the EPGA, plaintiffs argued that an emergency must be short-lived, and that's the way it's always been in the United States. There are lots of information out there on short-lived emergencies. And the legislature argued that the EPGA was only intended to address local emergencies and were technically unconvinced. And while the EPGA only allows the governor to declare a state of emergency when public safety is imperiled, public health emergencies such as COVID-19 pandemic can be said to imperil public safety. Third, as the scope of the powers conferred upon the governor by the legislature becomes increasingly broad in regard to both the subject matter and their duration, the standard imposed upon the governor's discretion by the legislature must correspondingly become more detailed and precise. So, since the legislature did not give her more authority than the original. Now, in California, they can state a state of emergency for 60 days. Once 60 days is over, they can do no more state of emergencies unless the legislature puts it into effect. But the thing is that we, the people, are the government. The agencies are our public servants. If people do not understand that, that can be a major challenge. And if you follow what they tell you to do, what they're trying to find out is how many of you are willing to give up all your God-given rights or your creator rights to the government, who is your public servant. So it's kind of like you created them and now they can overrule you. That is not the way that this country is designed. So, Steve, do you have anything to say?
Well, let me ask you, if it's unconstitutional today, Sue-Ann, would it have been unconstitutional on day one?
No, because they do have the ability to have emergency powers, because it can be something that is onset and the government cannot put it together. So the governor can make...
As long as it's short term.
As long as it's short term.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even when they had the Spanish flu, do we know when the Spanish flu was?
Back in 1918?
Yeah, back in 1918. And those people were what they considered in a pandemic. And when they tried to prove that there was a pandemic, they found out every test they did failed, because they even put people in a room and had them shake their hand, stand in front of them close, and see if they could get this influenza that was called the Spanish flu. Well, it all failed. And so you cannot get it unless you have something already that is affecting your health. And
Affecting your immune system.
I've been lied
actually.
to so much. I don't even know if I trust that. We can't trust the tests themselves. We have all kinds of so-called experts questioning the test, questioning the disease, questioning the treatment. And I have a chart here that's very interesting from the CDC. Now, I know I always tell you don't listen to CDC; they're a bunch of liars.
but they correct it after a while when you're not paying attention. Remember that.
But this chart goes from the beginning, February to this is April 29th, but it has a bunch of different colored lines for different age groups, 0 to 24. It hardly moves from the bottom line. It's just like a flat line. And then the one on top is 85 years or over. Well, it jumps right up, almost straight up to 5,000 deaths or so in a week. But I think we obviously know COVID was around before that. But here's the thing. It is on a downslope. And on April 29th, all these age groups from 85 to 0 meet at the bottom. They're all, they're saying we have more cases, but we don't have more deaths. We have almost no deaths right now.
Right.
That seems to be a more important figure than how many tests are positive.
Right.
Yes, well, the CDC still maintains, according to all the politicians, that there's been over 200,000 people in the United States killed by this. No. And when in reality, when you go to some other more reliable sources, and even the CDC themselves kind of admits that their numbers are way off, and the other people's numbers are only around 6,000 for the whole country.
Right.
So who's telling you the truth?
The truth.
Well, I choose to believe people like John Rappaport and this fellow that we had on last week, Raymond Obaswan, that laid out facts and figures that are absolutely done scientifically, that what I just talked about is absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. The first fellow we had on last week tied his presentation into the book of Revelation in the Bible and superimposed some of the things that are going on in some of their, like the Four Horsemen and other things. It was a very good presentation, and I'm familiar with what he was doing, and I totally agree with it. The other fellow that I rely a lot on is John Rappaport of NoMoreFakeNews.com. And he has been following this since the first case came to California, and I have all of his writings on that, which are quite a bit. And he comes up, and he has over 30 years experience of tracking these things, looking up what goes on, and has the absolute true facts on it. That's 30 years experience. And you've got that guy Fauci up there advising the president of things that come down from the World Health Organization and buttressed by the CDC. And I'm going to read a little bit of this legal notice that you gave me yesterday, that you're going to spring on a couple of people that have thrown you out of their business.
That's right.
And I'm just going to paraphrase it a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's pretty lengthy. So it's a legal notice to the person currently in charge of this establishment. As the person responsible for the operation and management of this establishment, you are criminally and civilly liable for the activities that you allow or prohibit on these premises, regardless of whether your own establishment or not. And you are hereby notice that it is illegal for you or another employee to require someone to wear a mask. And that is covered by California Penal Code 2052, under the penalty of up to 1 year in the county jail and or a fine of up to $1,000. Another one is it's illegal for you or another employee to take someone's temperature. That's also covered under the same thing. It is illegal for you or another to attempt to enforce local ordinances. That's covered under California Penal Code 538D, which carries a penalty up to 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $2,000. And it goes on. There are a whole bunch. As a matter of fact, there's 2 pages of this. And she is going to serve that on these people. I made the qualification, and when she does it like she's serving legal notice, because this is a legal notice. So that way, if they violate you or try to do this against your will, you have grounds for retribution against these people via our constructive notice that's based on the racketeering statutes, federal, and the people over in Santa Cruz, who we've been working with very closely, used our constructive notice, noticed the sheriff and the county, and then they went out to the beach to go on the beach, and there were the cops, and the beach was closed off. They served the cops or the police people. Then they called me on the telephone. I just happened to be at work that day, and said, "Truman, what do we do?" Well, I said, "What's keeping you out there?" They said, "Well, there's some tape right across the road. Take the tape down and go out on the beach and enjoy yourself."
Right.
Which they did. And when they turned around and looked, the police were driving away, and the beach was open for the rest of the day.
And we have videos on it.
And then there's videos on it. So this is something that we can do here in Fresno. And that's why I want to get a hold of some of these business people and let them know what they can do without hiring a lawyer, because this is federal law. Joanne?
Yes, that was absolutely great. I've picked up a few people in that group to help them to put the paperwork together so that they, when they give it to them, they know that they have this right, because the Constitution says you were given rights from your Creator. They don't use the word God because a lot of the people who put together the Constitution were not people that used God in their
terminology.
Terminology. And so they wanted to make sure everybody understood that it was the Creator, whoever that Creator was. And so there are a number of people out there that got involved in the Constitution and putting it together. So they were very careful how they worded things. They did not leave anybody out. They were not racist in any way, shape, or form, but the government likes to tell you they were racist. So all of these wonderful people who they tagged as racist has been done since the Constitution was since it's been put together, and they just have to understand how that works. So, okay, now, how did the people of Africa end up being slaves in the United States at the time of just around the Constitution time? Do you know how that happened?
Steve, you're probably good on that subject.
Well, not really.
Okay, and I will, because I will tell you, because there was a case called Olmstead, the Olmstead case, which was right around the Constitution time, and these people were brought. Oh, time for
a break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have more to come, and some of them are bombshells, some of them are repeats of what we've done on this show.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX 559-691-5700, and we shall return. Mr. Engineer, take it away.
Russia urges a ceasefire in Azerbaijan. These are your world headlines from ABC News. Azerbaijan has set a demand for Armenia to withdraw its forces from a disputed region where a week of fighting has killed more than a dozen people. The territory is internationally recognized as being part of Azerbaijan, but is home to mostly ethnic Armenians. 5 bodies have been found in northern Italy amid devastating floods in Europe. Meanwhile, the Italian government is set to impose new restrictions in the coming week to try to stem rising numbers of coronavirus cases, the health minister said. Measures are likely to include making the wearing of masks obligatory outdoors across the whole country and reintroducing curbs on social gatherings. And the Japanese founder of fashion brand Kenzo has died from COVID-19. Kenzo Takada died at the American hospital in Paris at the age of 81, according to a statement from the firm. Takada was the first Japanese designer to gain prominence in France, where he later settled. Julia McFarlane, ABC News at the Front Desk, London.
Down the country.
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
But you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you, someone that made you feel special and made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statements may be disturbing or offensive for some audiences. Life begins at the very moment of conception. Every single life is priceless. Mankind is created in the very image of God. I know that the aforementioned statements did not offend you. At least I hope not. But for many in our culture today, they are sadly offensive. I believe that every life conceived should have every opportunity to reach its full potential.
I'm a busy single mom, and the flexibility of app-based driving works for my family. I could go out there and make money, and I can still see my daughter. The Sacramento politicians passed a new law making it illegal to work as independent contractors, and that's going to force the shutdown of app-based services here. We need Prop 22. 22 protects our work as independent contractors. It will save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Please vote yes on 22.
When farmers are ready to harvest a crop, there's one person they call, the farm labor contractor. They arrange for field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News. And we are going to revert back to some of our topics for today. Be sure to call in and ask us a question or anything that you want to know about what we're talking about. You call in Talk Radio 1550 KXEX 559-691-5700. Also, want to bring up something I did not bring up, and I should have. The opinions and views of our hosts are theirs and do not represent this program or stations. And our co-hosts tonight are Steve Hempling, Director of the Free Enterprise Society, and our paralegal, Sue Ann Caesar. Sue Ann, did you want to carry on with what you got, or Steve, do you want to break in with one of your topics?
Well, I wanted to finish the point on
carry on
the black people and how they ended up being slaves. Okay, whenever because this didn't happen just with the black people, it also happened with the people coming from England. And what they would do is that if they wanted to come from England to the United States, they may not have the passage to make that trip. So what they would do is they'd come from, let's start with England, because it's a lot simpler to look at that from that standpoint. They would come from England to the United States, and that's before it became the United States, and then they would have to work off their passage from England to the United States.
I think that's what they call an indenture.
Yes, it is. It's an indenture. Well, they did that with the black people. But what they did with the black people is they never got past their indenture. Okay? And any child born in the United States, especially after the Constitution, was always free. But the people were told that they could have them forever. And so they love to lie to people. They lie to us about the pandemic. They lie to us about the emergencies. They've lied to us about a lot of things. They've lied to us about having to have a driver's license or register in your car. And think of all the money could have saved. No taxes on your home. There's a lot of stuff that we, the people, we have not given to the legislature in any way, shape, or form. And I have a wonderful case that addresses that, and it's called Billings versus Hall. It's a 1950 case and 1850 case, and I absolutely love that case. So I used to use it in my traffic cases. It was awesome. So anyway, so do you have something you wish to say, Steve, or?
Well, I'm going to bring up something, Steve, if you don't mind. You were talking about the Constitution, and in the Constitution, we have the absolute guaranteed right to do peaceful assembly. Now, that's peaceful assembly, and petition for redress. Mm-hmm. Now, on all of these protests that are going on, that's not a petition or a peaceful assembly. They might look like it, but where is their redress? Are they handing anybody anything that says that they want to do this done or undone or whatever? No, they're just marching and protesting. Sounds like a good thing to do. But then you get these other factions that come in when they're done that are doing rioting, looting, burning, and destroying our form of government. So they should have cracked down on this the first thing, because right from the get-go, nothing was peaceful.
No.
They were just assembling and not doing any redress. So if you don't do one without the other, I think you're overstepping your bounds.
Well, that's that gentleman that has to go to court on the 15th.
Right.
He did it in a setting where he had the right to do that, and that's really great for what he had to do. And yet they put him in jail, and they kept him all day, and they charged him with a code. And remember, code is not law.
That's correct.
The Supreme Court has stated many times it is not law. It's evidence of law, but it's not law. And you have to go to the statute and then find out who it applies to in the statute. But the government agencies will never give you that information. They don't want you to know.
That's very true. Steve, comment on that?
Well, yes, and I do want to remind people to call in at Talk Radio 1550 at 559-899-1550. You know, we need to get some conversation going here. I'm kind of going back to the Michigan case. I mean, these are important cases because we have to close the door. These executive orders that don't apply anymore, even Sue-Ann says that it applies as long as the legislature supports it. Well, I'm not even convinced of that. I mean, maybe for a short period of time I can be okay with. But California never passed any laws, No. Legislature never did anything here.
No.
And if they did, I would still think it would be just as unconstitutional. So this isn't like, they have cases that talk about quarantine, but this is not a quarantine. And I think there's all kinds of doctors questioning this thing that you're sick 3 or 4 weeks. And making everybody sick around you long before you show symptoms. That is not proven since. But anyway, I want to, on this Michigan case, it's a 4-3 majority opinion. What's wrong with those other 3 judges? This whole idea that these judges haven't read the Constitution should be something we can do about that. These are activist judges. Even the judge of the Supreme Court that just died, she was an activist judge. I mean, I don't wish her harm, but she was an activist judge. What is an activist judge? Is a judge that doesn't follow. It's a lawless judge. Let's get down to it. If I don't like something in the Constitution, as a judge, I'm going to not rule in its favor. If the legislature passes some law after months of detailed discussions and I don't like it, I'm not going to follow it.
Right.
This is why we're in the position of rioting and communism, and we've got a communist running for president, and particularly Harris she would be more comfortable running in the USSR or Cuba maybe. She has nothing to do with. These people do not respect our Constitution, not one word of it.
Yeah.
And they're very blatant about it. They don't say that we're following the Constitution. Well, Pelosi has a couple times to make a point, which has always been wrong.
Yeah.
She's not following the Constitution. She abhors the whole document.
Right.
And what we would call the judge that Steve was talking about of the Supreme Court, that's called legislating from the bench. And that's what's been going on in this country for quite a number of years.
Would you give the date of the Michigan case? Do you have the date?
I have it October 3rd.
It said it was certified questions September 9th, and it was decided on October 2nd this year.
Yeah, that's a new case.
I'm looking at the article.
So that is really a good case, okay? Because it's very, very new. I mean, what's it been? 3 days?
Yes. Well, 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
Today's the 4th.
Right, okay. Yeah, I forget about the days, what day it is.
Also, while we're on the subject, I'd like to welcome you back to the show. I know you've been down for a while with various problems, car problems and land problems and relative problems. I think you had a death. Your
my mother died on May 11th of this year, and so I'm having to try to sort out her land and all the extra stuff. And then I've been sick 3 different times now, and so I'm having a bit of a challenge. And then of course my car isn't 100%, and but it'll all work out. I just know it will. It's just having to get through it. So.
Right. Well, one thing I would like to say, it's good to have you back, or back on the show, and I'm glad you still have been able to help some of these other people on this excuse me, constructive noticing. And Steve, on what you were saying about the line of the various ages of people that have contacted the so-called pandemic, and they say it's all the people that are at risk are old people. That's me. I'm 86 years old, and I woke up this morning with a small sore throat, but I'm going to continue on. I don't feel like I've got the pandemic or any of the other symptoms that are associated, which is every symptom for every disease when you read it. So every case that comes into a hospital or a doctor has to be reported as a pandemic case.
Oh, no.
Just to inflate their numbers.
Oh, well, I went to the hospital the end of June, and they didn't do that with me. I don't know why. But I went in, was in for 2.5 days, and they said I didn't have COVID-19. So, even if I run into anybody out there, in any of the stores, I can say to them, have you been tested? I have. I don't have it.
Hey, Truman, we have a new number, you said.
Yes.
We're getting some people saying their phone's not being answered, and they're still showing the 1550 number up on the screen here. So we have a different number they're answering?
I have no idea.
Because we've got a couple of people on Facebook that have been trying to call, at least one anyway.
Okay, well, the number I've been calling out is 559-691-5700. And that's what we've been using for the last 3 weeks. So I don't have any idea on that. Maybe it's something that the station will have to look into, because we can't take the calls if they don't come in.
Right. Well, I tried to call the last 3 weeks and didn't make it. So I don't know exactly what's happening.
Okay.
But I had problems even trying to get in and trying to see if I could be on, but I couldn't. And then, of course, I got to watch half of it last week, and the other half, the only thing I got was commercials.
Okay.
Oh, Truman, there was one thing you said earlier about the governor that he's esteemed, and I'm going to take issue with that.
I didn't say
esteemed means very highly regarded, and I don't really highly regard him. I think he's a criminal. I think beyond recalling him and the things he's done to hurt people, I mean, it's in the billions of dollars now.
Yeah, well,
he needs to go to jail if we can put him there. These are, when they're declared unconstitutional actions, that means that he's then accountable for it.
Yeah, well, that was said in satire and jest, and I didn't. And I didn't say what he was esteemed at. I'll leave that up to you to make up your own mind. Any more, Steve?
Well, we could go to, we can maybe switch to the Pennsylvania case.
Well, have you got anything coming in on social media which you monitor? You'd like to comment on?
We have some comments here, although they're not all on this subject. We have Elaine saying, what did they do to Tuskegee?
Custody?
Tuskegee.
Oh,
I'm mispronouncing it. And Rosa's talking about this, okay, there it is. California Armenian Christian protesting for a war that started with Armenia and Azerbaijani. I'm not pronouncing that right either. But no coverage on any channel. I did hear about this, but that was probably on Fox News. So I'm not real sure what that's about. I haven't been paying that much attention on that particular. I haven't heard much about it. She's correct. I really hardly have heard it. And those stuff is the people wanting to make a call. Let's see. Just trying to call in. Well, I don't. I'll keep going through it here.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
Steve.
we can go to that. We can go to the Pennsylvania case.
Okay, Steve. Is this the number that they're supposed to be calling? Is 559-899-1550? That's the right number. 899-1550. 559-899-1550. That's the actual number. That's the number.
Okay, Binky's been trying to call here, apparently not getting through on the 1550. And so I don't know if maybe they don't see it ringing or something.
Okay,
we're getting all these kinks worked out at the new studio, so I apologize to any of you being inconvenienced. Because I know Binky's on here a lot, and I got a lot of good comments. So
good. We've got a signal for a break, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if we can get this phone number thing worked out during the break, if possible. This is the number I have, so stay tuned. We shall be right back.
Farm Labor Contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious.
You can shut down the country.
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
But you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you, someone that made you feel special and made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statements may be disturbing or offensive for some audiences. Life begins at the very moment of conception. Every single life is priceless. Mankind is created in the very image of God. I know that the aforementioned statements did not offend you. At least I hope not. But for many in our culture today, they are sadly offensive. I believe that every life conceived should have every opportunity to reach its full potential.
I'm a busy single mom, and the flexibility of app-based driving works for my family. I can go out there and make money, and I can still see my daughter. The Sacramento politicians passed a new law making it illegal to work as independent contractors. And that's going to force the shutdown of app-based services here. We need Prop 22. 22 protects our work as independent contractors. It will save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Please vote yes on 22.
When farmers are ready to harvest a crop, there's one person they call, the farm labor contractor. They arrange for field workers to get that crop to your dinner table. These contractors are experts in food safety and are charged with making sure you receive only the best produce. As the crop is being harvested, they ensure workers have fresh water, breaks, and even transportation. The California Association of Agricultural Labor is proud to represent California's farm labor contractors. Our members put quality first, so you can enjoy savory produce that's truly Valley delicious.
You can shut down the country,
Some people in some states protesting stay-at-home orders.
but you can't shut down politics.
We believe that there's been an overreaction to the close down.
Talk Radio 1550. KXEX.
I want you to think about someone that was there for you, someone that made you feel special and made a difference in your life as a child. We have hundreds of children on the waiting list, patiently waiting for a mentor. Can that be you? If so, please visit our website at bigs.org, bigs.org. Thank you.
The following statement.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News. I'm Truman Ziegler with our co-hosts Sue Ann Caesar and Steve Hempling from the Free Enterprise Society. And I have to make an apology here. I guess I blundered. The phone number is 559-899-1550. That's to call in with your questions or whatever you would like to know on our subjects that we are talking about this evening. That's 559-899-1550. Sue Ann, do you have any more comments on your presentation items for the night?
Okay, well, one thing that I really liked was this notice of violation that I don't know how we picked it all up, but we went through and set it up, and it's called Notice to You and your violation of my constitutionally protected rights or any other rights I may have. And that is really very good. And it's just a one page. The second page is instruction on how to use it. And I think it's very important. You start with that. If they continue to violate your rights, once you give them that notice, then you can use the constructive notice, the notice of liability, and there's one other one. And they really work together to give you your rights. And I have, for traffic, I have a card that has all my rights on the back side of the card. And, you know, it's really important that you are able to provide that to any public servant that is trying to violate your rights. And a violation of a notice of violation is the first step. And then after that, you can go to the other ones. And eventually, they do not like what you've done. And once you get into the notice of liability or the constructive notice, that means you're ready to either take them to court or to put a lien on everything they own once you've given them what they call notice and opportunity. That is very important. You must always notice and give opportunity to cure to every person who has violated any of your rights, and you want to list them the best you can.
That's right. And this process does work. I used it several years ago in another matter that I had, and I filed it in federal court, and it came about after a while that I actually won by default because they didn't answer the complaint.
Because they can't.
Yeah, they can't. It costs them too much money if they hire an attorney to do it.
Right.
And so this process does not require a prosecutor for you to bring forward this action in court.
Right.
It is made for the people. And most people don't realize that, and a lot of the people that in government say, "Oh no, those don't apply. You can't use that. That's just for going after racketeers." Well, let me inform you, you have been racketeering for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
With all your edicts and taxes and all of these so forth things that you put on us, like we are part of the government, and we're not.
No.
We are the government.
Yeah.
You work for us.
Absolutely. They better.
Steve, you got some more comments.
Well, I just always like to bring it back to the Constitution. That's the formula that made this country great, and the Democratic Party in particular is abandoning it. I mean, they don't want religion. They don't like to pray before an event. They don't like to have flags up. They had some flags up this year sometimes after people complained, and it's kind of bothersome, troubling to me how few people know anything about the Constitution, because you talk to young people. And we've been to many universities, and they think the Constitution is written by the devil or something. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. The only place they're getting that is these communist professors that are there. One benefit, I don't know if it's a benefit, but Trump really is trying to put an end to that kind of stuff and that racist training. I mean, the racism was almost gone in this country till the Black Lives Matter started up, and everybody's racist again. So. We got to use our common sense, and I want people to think for themselves. You got to stop. I don't even want you to listen to me without checking out what I'm saying, or Sue Ann or Truman. But
I agree.
We have, we check these things out, and we have facts behind us. These general statements that the Democrats make that how much lying Trump is doing, I just don't see it, because if you look at what he's done those things, and he may not be the smoothest guy or the most courteous, but. That says nothing in the Constitution. That's not a requirement to be president.
Yeah. And the thing is, he's a businessman, and he knows how to set things up so that it looks like he's not doing what he should be doing, and then all of a sudden he does it. And then you go, oh, that's interesting, because he's a businessman. And a businessman is very patient, because people can hoodwink you, and he doesn't like that.
Okay, well, Steve, your last comment there was leading into something. Probably a little bit more time left after I read this, so we can go into this. Is called Why It's Important to Vote.
Oh, yes.
For those of you who say, I can't believe you would vote for Trump. Well, folks, listen up. I'm not just voting for him. This isn't a personality contest. I'm voting for the Second Amendment. I'm voting for the next Supreme Court justice. I'm voting for the Electoral College and the republic we live in. I'm voting for the police and law and order. I'm voting for the military and the veterans who fought for and died for this country. I'm voting for the flag that is always missing from the Democratic background. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion and not be censored. I'm voting for secure borders. I'm voting for the right to praise my God without fear. I'm voting for every unborn soul the Democrats want to murder. I'm voting for freedom and the American dream. I'm voting for good and against evil. I'm not just voting for one person. I'm voting for the future of our country, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What are you voting for?
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Steve, you want to carry on until we get the drums rolling again?
Well, I just want to say that there's a lot of decisions coming against these governors now. We had that one in Pennsylvania, and he said it pretty clearly. Even in emergency, the authority of government is not unfettered, and the Constitution is not a fair weather freedoms. There's no place, and there's no time or good place that can be cast aside in times of trouble. There just isn't. There is no authority for that under any circumstances in a free country. China can do it, and other countries can do it, but this country is unique in the fact that all the power is inherent in the people, even though a lot of people here don't understand that.
Okay,
because our schools are doing so poorly.
We're coming down on time. Closing remarks. If you like our format and topics, let us know and tell others. Our time is up for this evening. Thanks to the hosts for their views and opinions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, same time and new stations. is Talk Radio, KXEX, and the phone number is 559-899-1550. Good night for our hosts and myself. Stay tuned next week.